Talking points.
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 Talking points. Talking points.
Talking points.
Welcome to Talking Points. Talking Points is the panel discussion program in which we take a look at the stories which have previously appeared in Today River Valley. Today River Valley is the video news feature program for the towns of the Androscoggin Valley in western Maine. My name is Phil Blampede. I am the host and producer of both programs. Well, today we're back at Bistro 151 in the Sudbury Inn in Bethel, Maine, and as you can see, the table is ready right behind us for the discussion to begin. It'll begin in a few minutes. Today we're going to be talking about the phenomenon of the lost and found in Maine, and it turns out the state of Maine itself is the largest holder of lost items with over $200 million in cash and valuables. Is that a good thing? We're going to talk about that. And then we're going to be joined by Allie Smith, the proprietor of the Sudbury Inn, who will be sharing some delicious food and drink with us just to show you what they have to offer here. Watch us enjoy it, and you'll probably want to come up and try some yourself. But first, let's introduce our panelists.
Lori Heron is the founder, editor, and publisher of Bethel Living, a magazine with in-depth articles about events and people in the greater Bethel area and the western Maine mountains. Lori owns and operates Royal River Graphics in Bethel, where she creates websites and promotional and marketing materials for businesses throughout New England. Find out more at royalrivergraphics.com. And she is currently a member of the board of directors of the Bethel Area Chamber of Commerce.
Steve White retired after 38 years operating Sunday River Inn and Cross Country Ski Center with his wife Peggy, served 34 years as a selectman in the town of Newry, and 23 years as a commissioner on the Maine Land Use Regulation Commission. Steve now serves on the boards of many local, statewide, and regional nonprofit organizations, working in areas including youth wellness, conservation, recreation, education, forest health, and community resilience. As for me, Phil Blampede, I launched the video feature show Today River Valley 3 years ago. It started on the internet and eventually got region-wide placement on WPME TV. My idea was to take the kind of community journalism found in local newspapers and translate it into a video program. Not only can you find the program on WPME, but you can watch it at any time at todayrivervalley.com.
Talking Points is sponsored by the Sudbury Inn. Lodging, fine dining, and a lively pub in an historic inn, right on Main Street in Bethel, Maine.
Make the Sudbury Inn your headquarters for your next trip to Bethel. Centrally located downtown, this charming 19th century inn offers accommodations from a full apartment with its own fireplace to deluxe two-room suites to single rooms. And you don't have to go far to find the best of Bethel, with fine dining in our main dining room, pub fare and live music in our popular Suds pub, and a bistro menu and bar in Bistro 151, which features light fare with a creative flair, lobster ravioli with a shrimp cream sauce, sweet pea and caramelized onion ravioli with a blue cheese sauce, blackened sea bass with a cucumber salsa, citrus glazed veal short ribs with an Asian sauce. The Sudbury Inn is family-friendly, can accommodate pets, and as the magazine Bon Appetit put it, is the perfect way to end a day in Bethel. Call today for more information.
Year after year, residents of the River Valley have been able to count on Murphy's accounting services for tax preparation. In business for over 30 years, Murphy's is ready to help with your returns this season. William and Deborah invite you to call for an appointment or use our easy drop-off service at Crescent Avenue, just off Route 2 in Rumford. Open Monday through Friday 9 to 9, Saturday until 5. For 3 generations, R.E. Lowell has been the family-owned lumber and hardware business with locations in Buckfield and on Route 4 in Turner. Whether you're a professional contractor or a do-it-yourself homeowner, R.E. Lowell has what you're looking for. Become part of the family. When you're looking for hardware or lumber or building supplies, look to Lowell.
In the January edition of Today River Valley, there was a story about the lost and found phenomenon throughout the state of Maine, and it turns out the biggest lost and found department throughout the state is actually the state itself. The state treasurer is responsible for receiving all the abandoned bank accounts, paycheck, life insurance policies, and safe deposit boxes, and they hold all of this in trust. anyone who lives in the state of Maine can actually find out whether there is an abandoned bank account that belongs to them by going to the Treasurer's website, maine.gov/upsearch, UPSEARCH. Now, Maine doesn't have laws that you sometimes find in other states where if you find something of value, you are legally required to hand it in. If you run into a diamond ring on the sidewalk, you can keep it. In other states, you're required to actually go to the local police and let them hold on to it for a period, usually 90 days, and then if it's not claimed, you can get it. But here, if you find it, it's finders keepers. So what do you think, folks? Is that fair, or should there be a legal requirement that people have to turn in valuables to the local police?
I don't know what you would say about that. I do know that the list works. I once had a lost something or other, insurance account or something, and I was able to get money back. And it was, at that point, they were publishing the whole list in the newspaper, and I had all kinds of calls from people saying, "Oh, hey, you've got something, go get it, be sure to get it." So that was great.
I had a cousin one time whose mother had died, and there were some bank accounts abandoned in the course of the estate being probated. And many years later, I discovered that his name was on the list, and I suggested to him that he get in touch with the state and get the money back. And he said that he would prefer just to let the money sit there, that having to reopen the probate process was such an onerous task that he preferred just to let it sit there. So a lot of that money must possibly be just abandoned for a purpose. People don't want to go through the bother of having to claim it and whatever ramifications that getting that money might entail. Cousins calling you up and saying, "Wait a minute, shouldn't some of that be mine?"
Right.
So.
Well, of course, the first thing I did was jump on and search my maiden name and my married name. In every town I've ever been in, there was nothing for me. But I didn't think to search for my relatives, my grandmother. It's a funny thing. The state holds safe deposit boxes as well as CDs, uncashed checks, unclaimed bank accounts, and particularly the safety deposit box was something I feel in the past. My grandparents had them, and I don't know anyone now who keeps a safety deposit box.
You know me, I have one.
Oh, do you? But I know that I've been doing a little looking around through the state, that there's $220 million of unclaimed assets that the state is holding on to. So that's a lot of cash that could be used for other things.
Well, the state of Maine is a balanced budget state, and the liabilities and the expenditures have to be in balance. And that $220 million sits on the state's balance sheet and potentially keeps the state from spending some tax revenues for actual ongoing operations. When the money first came in, there was actually money. When they get an abandoned bank account, they actually get the money from the bank account. But then, of course, it just goes into the general fund and gets. It's not a lockbox. It gets spent, and then subsequently, if somebody claims it, they have to take it out of tax revenues to reimburse it. So that's a permanent liability on the state books. They could change the law to allow the state, after a while, to relinquish its responsibility to. They could just liquidate those assets and say they now belong to the state, but that's not the way the law is currently written.
But it seems that if this continues, we're going to have a huge pile of a fortune that could be used for other things. Maybe if the state were to make an announcement to say in 2018, for example, certain things that have been held for more than 20 years, we're going to have an annual auction, and that money could go to fund things that have been cut by other budgets, all kinds of possible programs, education, special education, poverty, helping folks in need.
Well, Lori, what is the biggest, most distressing thing you ever lost?
A diamond, and I lost it here at the Sudbury Inn. It was a half-carat earring, and I lost it about a year ago. No, I was heartbroken. This is crazy. I'm telling you the truth. It was an earring, and it was downstairs in the Suds pub. And I got home and immediately came back, and the place was closed. Easy come, easy go. I was heartbroken, but hopefully someone came across it, and that diamond has a new life.
What's the best thing you ever found?
I've got a pretty cool found story.
Yeah.
Yes. Today is Thursday. A week ago Monday, I was getting ready to wake up my son, who needs to get up at 6:45 to go to school. He's a senior in high school, and there was a creature outside my bedroom window, and a beautiful long-haired black and white cat, but it had been out there. It was not looking very good. And it occurred to me that the day before I'd driven by and seen a poster on the telephone pole by the footbridge outside my house. So I got in my vehicle, went and looked for the poster, and recognized it was the same cat's face.
Wow.
So I called the number immediately, and it was a woman who lives near me. She lives down in the condos at Sunday River, and she was so excited. And I said, "You're going to need boots and snow pants." Took her about 15 minutes to call in the cat that had been missing for 6 weeks. And the cat was very skinny, but it survived, and she gave me a very nice reward. And she matched the reward by giving a donation to Rescue Cat Fund.
Was the reward a diamond earring that looked very familiar?
No, gosh darn it, but it was a very generous, very thoughtful reward, and she would not take no. So that was kind of cool.
That's a great find. I usually find nuts and bolts and things like that.
Oh yeah. Well, nuts and bolts are getting very expensive. You go to the hardware store.
Well,
it
that's true.
Could be an expensive nut that you find.
Yeah.
Talking points. We'll be right back.
The thing about Pat's Pizza is that it's informal, but the food is really good. It's not just pizza. They make their own dough there, they make their own lasagna there, and it's a very comfortable place. You go in and it's a rustic post and beam interior. Portions are incredibly generous. Staff is friendly. You know, I like trying the microbrews. They have a selection of microbrews at the bar. They have a 6-page menu. It's you have to think a while before you make a choice. They have gluten-free specialties, including gluten-free carrot cake. They've been there for nearly 2 decades, and I think there's a reason why. It's a very pleasant place to find some really good food in a comfortable environment.
Pat's Pizza. It's not just pizza. Visit us soon on Route 2 in Bethel. Call ahead for takeout at 824-3637 and like us on Facebook.
If your shoes don't feel right or your feet hurt, don't ignore the warning signs. Visit Pine Tree Orthopedic Lab in Livermore Falls, the leading provider of corrective shoes and accessories in Maine. Foot problems can lead to pain in the knee, hip, and back. At Pine Tree Orthopedic Lab, we design footwear to relieve pain or discomfort from disease, overuse, or congenital conditions. In our retail showroom, there are 4 certified pet orthotists who provide your initial foot exam at no charge. All manufacturing of your custom footwear, orthotics, and braces is done on site.
Hi, I'm Bruce McDonald, president of Pine Tree Orthopedic Lab, and I'd like to invite you to come to the most unique shoe store in Maine, where we are the foot comfort specialists.
Don't ignore that discomfort. Pine Tree Orthopedic Lab, open Monday through Friday 8 to 5, Saturday 8 to 2.
Talking Points is sponsored by the Sudbury Inn. Lodging, fine dining, and a lively pub in an historic inn, right on Main Street in Bethel, Maine.
I found underneath my car, parked in Exeter, New Hampshire, one day, a scattering of collectible coins and dollar bills. They were what they call silver certificates from the 1920s and the 1930s.
Whoa.
So I took them to the Exeter Police Department, being an honest soul, and down in New Hampshire you have to do that. They hold on to it for 90 days. And then after 90 days, I called, and they were a little bit hesitant, but they finally admitted they were obligated to hand them back, and they did. Good. And so then I looked into the value, and I guess silver certificates are worth about $1.25 or something like that. It's not as exciting as I thought it was going to be.
Well, back to your first question about whether or not to require people to turn them in. That's something I guess would be fine with me. And as far as whether the state should hold on to things forever, does that mean that since 1820, since the state of statehood, they've been collecting stuff?
I'm not sure. I think it's probably from the date of whenever the governing statute was passed.
Yeah. Well, I would think there should be some sort of an auction in order to just clean it off the records, because in most cases, I guess it's cash.
Well, one of the things they have from a safe deposit box is a pair of tickets for an appearance by Elvis Presley for a concert that occurred the day after he died.
Yeah, I knew some people who had tickets for
Portland?
that.
Was that in Portland?
Yeah, it was in Maine, yes.
Right,
I was working down on the coast of Phippsburg, and some of the chambermaids had tickets for that concert. and they have the tickets. So maybe they lost them.
My parents' dear friends, the Stackhouses,
Yep.
have tickets from that show, and they would not part with them for anything. They love Elvis.
Talking points. We'll be right back.
I'm gonna take all of my real estate needs down to the riverside, down to the riverside, down to the riverside. I'm gonna take all of my property needs down to the riverside, Riverside Realty. I bought a great vacation home for when I want to roam at Riverside Realty. I found my new forever home, never more to roam at Riverside Realty. At Riverside Realty.
So come on in. Let us open new doors for you. After all, we are the people-pleasing agency serving all your real estate needs.
Talking Points is sponsored by the Sudbury Inn. Lodging, fine dining and a lively pub in an historic inn, right on Main Street in Bethel, Maine.
We're with Allie Smith, proprietor of the Sudbury Inn and Bistro 151. Hello, Allie. How are you today?
Hello, Phil. How are you?
And Allie has brought us some delicious food and excellent wine and is going to tell us a little bit about what these are. Allie, what is this dish that we have in front of us?
This is our phyllo crisp. Basically, it's a little sort of a sandwich made with baked phyllo dough, and it's stuffed with goat cheese and peppers and andouille sausage and a little spinach. It's one of our best sellers. It's one of our great appetizers here. It's probably my favorite thing on the menu, actually.
It smells heavenly.
It does.
I'm very glad to hear it.
So, Allie, describe a little bit more about the appetizer menu here at the Sudbury Inn and Bistro 151.
Well, what we've tried to do is we have kind of two halves to the menu. There are a lot of things on the menu which have been Sudbury classics for a long time. For example, we have our clam chowder and Peter's marvellous mussels, which are a bestseller and really, really tasty. But what we've tried to do, with my history having a house in France, we've tried to bring a little bit of the bistro sensibility into it, so a little bit of French modern cooking, and this fits the brief really, really well.
Excellent. Do you mind if we start?
Please do.
So, now, would you describe the wines that we have in front of us?
Well, what I've given you is, one is a Spanish wine, the white is Spanish, and the red is from the south of France. We've actually got on our wine list, we've got quite a lot of California Cabernets and California Chardonnays because that's what people like. But what we like to do is actually change it up a bit and give people the opportunity of trying something a little bit different. So, for example, this Puy de Val, it is a Cabernet blend, but it's not Cabernet Sauvignon at all. It's mostly Cabernet Franc, and it's got a little Shiraz in it. So it's very fruity but very rich. So it's really nice with spicy things like andouille sausage. It also goes brilliant with things like steaks or rack of lamb, which we have on the menu as well. So it's really rich, but it's quite fruity, so it's easy to drink. And it's one of those wines that's really warming on a cold day. And it's going to be a really cold day tomorrow.
So stock up.
We'll be back for more wine. It's delicious.
Which of these wines do you think is a better match with this particular dish?
Depends on your taste. The nice thing about this Spanish wine, it's actually a Verdejo, and it's from the western part of Spain, the northwestern part of Spain. So it's a bit like an Albarino, it's a little bit like a Vino Verde, but it's got a bit more spice to it, so it can stand up with these nice big bold flavors.
And these are items that people would find on the menu whenever they come here.
These are just regular menu items.
Now, is the appetizer something we'd find specifically in Bistro 151, or is it throughout the building?
It's actually just upstairs, so it's in the bistro room and also in the dining room.
When are you open at Bistro 151?
We are open Tuesday through Saturday, and we're open at 5:30 in the evening, and we go through to last order at 9.
And the wines, are they also something that you offer on a regular basis, or are they a limited availability?
Well, these two wines, these used to be on our bistro specials, but they were so popular we put them on the main wine list. But we also have intermittent wine specials as well. So for example, at the moment we've got a California Zinfandel, a red Zinfandel. It's from a producer called St. Francis, and they've been voted the best Zinfandel producer in America 2 years on the trot now. So this is their second consecutive year. It's an older wine, it's 2009, so it's actually really rich, but again, it's very approachable. And that's something, we've only got a few bottles, so by the end of next week it will be gone and we'll come up with something different.
Do people come for the wine here, or is it? Suds is famous for the beers, isn't it?
Well, a lot of people do come here for the wine, but it's something we're working on to actually try and introduce people to more than just your Cabernet Sauvignon or your Chardonnay. So we're actually trying to build on that to give people the chance to try it. But we also have 3 or 4 beers on tap up here. And basically, if someone comes in and they want something downstairs from the 29 beers we have on tap downstairs, someone will go down and get it for them. It's not a problem.
Well, this is delicious.
It sure is. The tangy goat cheese with the spicy sausage and the crispiness of the phyllo. What do you call this again?
We just call it the phyllo crisp.
Very good.
Where did this recipe come from?
The amazing brain of Peter Baldwell.
Really.
So is this unique, or is it something?
Yeah, I've never seen anything like this anywhere else.
It's delightful.
Is there a specific nationality to the cuisine at Bistro 151?
It's got a bit of a French twist, but it's really, we pick and choose whatever we think will be nice. So for example, one of I think our signature dishes, it's a fillet of salmon, and it is pan fried and it's served with sauce, a cream sauce flavored with sorrel. And sorrel is a herb which is very popular in French cooking. It looks a little like spinach, it tastes a little bit like spinach, but it kind of has a little citrus, fruity tang to it. And with the cream and the vermouth that goes in the sauce with the salmon, that's a stone-cold French classic from a 3 Michelin star restaurant in the southeast of France. So that's a classic French dish. We have steak frites, which is a classic French bistro dish. But we also, we have goat cheese, we have phyllo, so that's a kind of a Greek influence. So we just take what we think is going to be nice. We're thinking about maybe doing a wine dinner, but I think we're all going to be starting to look towards the summer months. So maybe we'll actually bring a few more lighter wines in. I don't really think the menu's going to change very much. But look out for a wine dinner. I think that's definitely on the cards. End of March, beginning of April.
In the March and February editions of Today River Valley, we profiled 2 very entrepreneurial young couples who have started 2 different businesses in the area. One is the Norway Brewing Company, a brew pub in Norway, Maine, and the other is the reopening of the Casablanca Theater, now called the Gem in the Casablanca, in Bethel, Maine. In both of these cases, these people raised a significant amount of the money that they needed through something called crowdfunding. For those of you who aren't familiar with crowdfunding, this is a phenomenon on the internet where there are websites where if somebody is seeking money, usually for a business, but it could be for a project like making a film or something of that kind, they post the project on these websites, and then the viewers of the website are invited to actually send money. The money is actually more of a form of a gift than an investment, and usually the people offering trying to start these projects will offer something in return for each contribution that they receive. In the case of the Bethel Movie Theater and the Norway Brewing Company, the efforts were quite successful. The Bethel Movie Theater raised $35,000 on Kickstarter, and the Norway Brewing Company raised about $14,000 on a site called Indiegogo. So what do you think of crowdfunding? Is this going to be the future of business financing? Will people be able to eschew banks and investors in favor of crowdfunding projects?
Well, the internet is causing the future to come at us faster and faster than it ever has before. So I don't know that we can predict that because something is here today, it's going to be here tomorrow or a few tomorrows from now, but it's certainly working for people now. I have, maybe people don't just don't advertise their ones that don't work, but everybody I hear from that's tried it has made out pretty well.
I love it. I think it's fantastic. We recently did a fundraiser over at Mount Abram for a single mom with 2 autistic kids. We did Cause for Laughter with Kate Carroll as a comedian, and we used GoFundMe, and it's fabulous. And if I wasn't able to attend, I would have still been able to just go to the website and make a donation. I don't have to find my checkbook and find a stamp, fill out an envelope, go to the post office and mail it. I can just click, usually with PayPal, which I'm already set up with, and boom, I never have to even move away from my computer. It's pretty neat. I think it's fantastic.
Would you browse any of these sites and just, if you saw an interesting project in Oklahoma, send them $50 because you were fascinated by what they were doing?
I might, but I wouldn't do that without doing my research. I would want to know for sure that it was a legitimate, but there are quirky ones too. Some crazy people doing silly things, and before they know it, they've got $14,000 because people are entertained.
The entertainment is certainly part of it. Yeah, and also I think a lot of times they'll have a come on. If you give up to a certain level, they'll send you the product that they're going to make if they get enough money to make it, things like that. In the case of the gym, I think what they did was ask people to buy tickets ahead. So they said for $10 we'll give you a ticket. So if it was before Christmas and everybody was buying blocks of tickets to give out to their families and stuff.
The one interesting solicitation they made was that they had a donation category specifically for Stephen King, the author, because apparently Stephen King attended the Casablanca Theater many years ago when it was open, and I don't think it worked. I think they did better with local people than they did with Stephen King.
What I think that they're going to do with the theater is a wonderful thing. I've been looking all over town to see where is the place that everybody in town, no matter what their socioeconomic situation or whatever is, feel comfortable going. And it's not somebody else's church, and it's not, in a lot of cases, a school, because people have hang-ups about schools and everything, but everybody will go to the theater. So what they're trying to do, in addition to having a theater...
But wait a minute. People have hang-ups about schools? Is this some odd behavioral quirk I've never heard of before? Because I missed that psychological class?
I think people that had trouble in school don't feel that they want to be
okay.
there.
All right.
But, so anyway, I've been looking for this place, and I think this is it. They are talking about making it a hub, making it a place that people can feel welcome.
The central pillar of a movie theater like that is first-run films, which was the stumbling block because you can't show first-run films unless you have this very expensive digital projection equipment. Right. And the idea is that there are many people who won't go to the movie theater if you're just showing old Cary Grant films. They only want to see the latest blockbuster, right. so that you're not going to get anybody coming to buying tickets unless you're showing the latest films. Now, in that regard, there are a lot of people in the community who say we want a first-run movie theater in the community, but this reminds me of in various parts of the food service business, whether it be restaurants or vending, which I'm familiar with. I won't explain how, but everybody wants something, and usually it's diet food. They want to see a salad bar at Burger King, but when it comes down to it, they're really gonna go in and order hamburgers and French fries. Yeah. Everybody wants to have first-run movies, right. But when it's February and the new proprietors of the Gem have invested $5,000 to have a first-run film, are they really going to have 15 or 20 or 50, 60 people, or are they only going to have 2 people sitting in the audience?
Well, that was always my concern in the beginning, because there were actually 2 people in the theaters. Sometimes when we'd go and when it was running 4 screens. But I think since they're doing a lot of things and making it a place to go for reasons other than first-run movies, that'll encourage people to come for the movies as well.
But not only that, all the other movie theaters around have shut down. So we're going to be sort of a movie destination for miles around. You have to travel over an hour now, I think, to find a movie theater.
Well, it could be the tail wagging the dog. Everybody thinks it's going to be a first-run movie theater, but it may be the children's birthday parties and the non-profit events and everything that they hold there that
right.
may be the
what
For
draws
20
people.
Yeah, for 25 years, people have been looking for a community center in town, and I always said, oh, we got lots of buildings, why do we need to build another one? But for the reasons that I suggested, you need a place where everybody can feel comfortable. So this may be it for a while, maybe a de facto community center until something else comes along.